Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for the 7th of January 2020. Today, we are going to address another candidate for possible leader of Labour Party, not Angela Rayner, who has already thrown her hat in for deputy. That's a different voting system, and we'll get to that another time. The candidate in question is actually somewhat well known, certainly amongst the internet shitlords. And those, cringe lords, I mean Kekistanis. Same thing. Where during a meeting to discuss men's rights and International Men's Day, this particular MP laughed at Philip Davis for raising men's issues and wanting to have discussions about them on International Men's Day. The MP was then summarily, with a considerable amount of criticism from a lot of people from many different groups, for not understanding that just because men have been in power for a long time doesn't mean they ever discussed issues that were important to them. Mental health is still somewhat taboo. The MP in question is Jess Phillips, the same one who went and took her son and put him outside number 10 to be looked after as a great photo opportunity because of school cuts to funding. Yes, because a woman who had claimed more expensive in the last 4 years than most MPs couldn't just claim a little more for childcare. Leg to stand on, you have none. Now, she is from a Leave voting area in Birmingham, but she has campaigned ardently to remain because she believes that is in the best interests of the British people and has even said if she were in charge, she would do that. Well, she's backtracked on that a little. But before we get to that, with the video in question, I want to address the video that she put out on her Twitter, and I'm going to link the full thing below, but play a small clip of it now.
This is my old street, where my kids grew up and where I began my community activism. This place means a lot to me.
Around 10 years ago, there was a series of arson attacks on our street. So every week for a couple of weeks, we would come out and there'd be cars set on fire and the neighbourhood started to fracture. I decided to do something about it.
You have to be willing to talk about the things that people wish weren't there. Speak truth, win power.
Can you feel the cringe? I will say this about Jess Phillips. While she did mock men's rights, which annoyed a lot of people and in fact led to the most famous thing about her, the interaction with Sargon of Carl, who said, "I wouldn't even grape you." And it apparently meant harassment. Right. Because if he said, "I would grape you," that was totally acceptable. Oh well, admittedly, it's an odd one. When it comes to the campaign, it'll be very interesting to see how she tries to take what she's considered and dubbing a more no-nonsense approach to politics forward. Others have tried it in the past with varying levels of success. David Cameron did it against Blair and Brown and destroyed them, but then they did bankrupt our country. Rory Stewart tried to do something similar when he wanted to go for leader of the party, and understandably, no one cared about what Zippy said. When it comes to Labour, she's a character. And that is interesting, because we can consider this from a number of areas. Most importantly, do you want a legitimate contender to Boris Johnson? The answer should be yes. If not, Jess Phillips is your person, because she is a reactionary. She's very emotional, and not because she's whammon, but simply because she has a mouth. I'm doing a hand gesture here with a mouth, yapping, all the time, because that's what she likes to do. In fact, she has been busted on a number of occasions for shouting absolute abuse across the Commons. It is astonishing how much of a chav she resembles. Try and look classy, please. You wouldn't look out of place wearing Burberry. So on to her EU beliefs. The most notable is that she wants to stay in the EU because she believes it is better for the United Kingdom while taking shots at America. Well, she was kind of forced to backtrack to an extent on the Andrew Marr show, where she essentially said, "Let's wait and see." In fact, that's exactly what she said.
We might have been out of the EU then by about 3 years. Is the Labour Party then a return to the EU party, or do you accept that argument is over?
Look, Boris Johnson has a majority of 80. We have to wait and see.
See? Wow. Almost gave a politician's answer there, which she did. didn't she? It's almost as if she's trying very hard to take what she believes and shelve it for the greater good. But the greater good still for her and to her means, I want what I want. Give it now, in its swag. With all the candidates that have been named so far, I maintain the original stance that the only legitimate candidate is Keir Starmer. But Jess Phillips putting her name into the hat is a character. And when it comes to debating amongst themselves, oh boy, I can't wait to see who cracks first. A small part of me wants her to win, not because it vindicates her, but simply because she is a very interesting character who I can imagine would get very annoyed very quickly at some of the stuff that comes from Boris Johnson's mouth, most of which she would not be able to decipher, not because it's high IQ and she's low IQ or anything like that, because that's rude. No, but because he's really good at waffling. That is a direct quote from Boris Johnson. Please let me know what you think about this particular candidate in the comments below. I am incredibly, greatly and amazingly interested to know whether you think Jess Phillips would be a fantastic candidate to be leader of the Labour Party with a possible Angela Rayner as her deputy.